This morning, we are tracking the fallout from two separate shootings by immigration officials. In Portland, Oregon, last night, Border Patrol agents shot and injured two people. And in Minneapolis, the frustration over the shooting death of a woman at the hands of an ICE agent led to protests. Hundreds of demonstrators took to the streets last night, calling for ICE to leave the city. The Minneapolis mayor told CBS Evening News anchor Tony DeCopel the protesters are standing up for the city's immigrant community.
If you've watched how a lot of these protests have carried out, this is not some repeat of what we saw in 2020. There's not a lot of confidence in this federal administration that they are going to do the right thing, either by our immigrant community or, perhaps more importantly, under the Constitution of the United States.
Meanwhile, in Portland, DHS says Border Patrol agents stopped a car while looking for a member of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. Officials say the driver, quote, weaponized his car and the agent shot in self-defense. CBS News' Gwen Baumgartner is in Portland with more.
Community members gathered for a vigil in Portland after a man and woman were shot there by federal agents.
The patients were transported to local hospital, and their conditions at this time are unknown.
On social media, the Department of Homeland Security said the shooting happened Thursday during a traffic stop targeting a vehicle whose driver and passenger have alleged ties to a notorious Venezuelan gang. DHS says the driver weaponized the vehicle and tried to run over agents, and that the officer who fired the gun feared for his life. The FBI's Portland office says it is, quote, investigating an assault on federal officers.
We know what the federal government says happened here. There was a time when we could take them at their word. That time is long past.
The city's mayor, Keith Wilson, is demanding a halt to federal immigration operations in Portland until a full and independent investigation is complete.
Our community deserves answers. Our community deserves accountability.
Protesters gathered outside of an ICE facility in Portland overnight.
We must remain united in peaceful opposition to efforts to tear our community apart.
State and local officials are urging community members to stay calm, especially in the wake of the fatal shooting of a woman in Minneapolis earlier this week by an ICE agent. Gwen Baumgartner, CBS News, Portland.
All right, let's jump back to our other top story in Minneapolis. You're looking at CBS News correspondent Ash-har Quraishi following the aftermath of the deadly shooting by an ICE agent there. Good morning, Ash-har. What are you seeing there now in response to what took place earlier this week?
Good morning, Errol. Well, we're about 2 blocks now away from where we were yesterday, which was right by the fatal shooting. And I can tell you right now, it's very quiet right now. When we arrived here, there were police blockades blocking some of the streets. That's why we're so far away right now. But what we understand happened, and I believe we have some fresh video of this, was they brought in trucks and started removing those man-made barricades that we were talking about yesterday. Now, those barricades were put into place so that people could visit the location and pay their respects to Renee Good yesterday. Those, we understand, were being removed this morning. In a short time, we'll head over that way and see what the situation looks like now. But it was the first time we saw police officers here. We didn't have any sign of them yesterday. But throughout the city, we've been seeing protests. People have been frustrated. There's been anger. It's been boiling off into the streets. There have been clashes between some protesters and immigration agents. And we heard from some of those protesters about some of the frustrations and the anger that they're feeling right now. Take a listen.
It makes me ashamed to be part of this country and a part of, the problem here.
I'm 81 years old. I care about this country. I served in the military, and I just don't like what's happening.
And it'll be interesting to see what the interactions are like, particularly in this area. Again, yesterday, people here visiting unobstructed without any interaction with law enforcement. But now that those barriers are gone and traffic will be flowing through that area, it'll be interesting to see how many people come out and whether or not there are any kinds of interactions between law enforcement and people coming to visit that location.
Yeah, and Usher, as we look forward, Minnesota officials say they cannot access evidence in this case because the FBI is taking over the investigation. Explain what's going on there.
Right. So initially what we were told was this was supposed to be a joint investigation, obviously led by the FBI, but also inclusive of state authorities. And what we were told by those state authorities is that the FBI has essentially blocked them from access to evidence, case material, interviews, body cam, etc. And as a result, they've said that they can't conduct an independent investigation, and they are hopeful that the FBI will be more transparent and provide some information to the public that will satisfy them. But again, we've heard from leaders. Governor Walz has said that this needs to be a transparent investigation to keep the confidence of Minnesotans alive when there is such a divide about what actually went down and who was responsible and who should be held accountable.
Certainly the case. Ash-har Quraishi continuing his reporting in Minneapolis. Thank you for that. Doug Kouns joins us now. He's a former FBI special agent and supervisory special agent and is currently the founder and CEO of the intelligence firm Veracity. Good morning, Doug. As we heard there, Minnesota's Governor Tim Walz also says it's too difficult to believe there'll be a fair outcome now that the FBI has taken over the probe in Minneapolis. Why might state officials not have access to evidence there? Is that unusual?
It is unusual, in my opinion. I've been out of the game for, I retired about 8 years ago. Typically, these things are worked jointly, and you work side by side with state and local investigators. You try to work as objectively as you can, unbiased, and you let the facts speak for themselves. That said, I think it's a valid concern when you have top levels of government coming out with their judgment already, and to think that that does not put pressure on these street level investigators is kind of naive.
And, our other top story is the shooting by border agents in Portland. What do you expect each of these investigations in Portland and Minneapolis to look like? Will they be different, do you think?
I don't know as much about the Portland one. There's not the videos and the amount of coverage. And, I'm retired. I don't have any special access to case information anymore. But when the FBI, from my experience, from when I was in there, they go in unbiased and they do their interviews. They collect their evidence. They get all the body camera footage and put together a total package and that they can justify walking through point by point and saying, here are our findings and here is why. And certainly you're still not going to satisfy everybody, but it provides the basis for prosecutions if appropriate, or for dropping charges or not charging at all if appropriate as well.
Yeah, we'll keep our eyes on this. Doug Kouns, thanks for joining us this Friday.